The American Film Institute presents a salute to Orson Welles. This is the third year we in Hollywood have joined with you all over the world to salute an outstanding individual for his lifetime contributions to the art of motion pictures. Hosted by Frank Sinatra. Guest appearances by Ingrid Bergman and Charlie McCarthy. Ingrid Bergman. Peter Bogdanovich. Connie Carson. Joseph Cotton. Charlton Heston. Janet Leigh and Dennis Weaver. Natalie Wood. 2 years ago, our first Life Achievement Award was presented to the great American director, John Ford. Last year, we all shared a joyous and emotional occasion as the American Film Institute honored an actor, James Cagney. Tonight, we honor the third man as the American Film Institute spotlights a director, an actor, a writer, a producer, and here they are, Orson Welles.
Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the American Film Institute, Charlton Heston.
In 1946, our guest of honor produced and directed a musical play based on the Jules Verne novel Around the World in 80 Days. The show opened in Boston, and the next morning, that city's eminent critic, Elliot Norton, had this to say: "Last night, Orson Welles threw in everything but the kitchen sink." When the curtain went up that night, there in the middle of the stage was a kitchen sink. In a distinguished and turbulent film career since then, Orson Welles has fascinated his audiences not only with kitchen sinks, but with just about everything else you can do with a movie camera, including a few things he thought up himself. When the American Film Institute was created in 1967 by the National Endowment for the Arts, we were given a mandate to bring proper recognition to the great artists of cinema so that they might take their proper place alongside the leaders in the other arts. That's why we're here tonight. Someone once said of him that Orson might well be the most remarkably talented man the American theater has yet produced. Since I was the guy that said that, I'm happy to repeat myself. Orson is, as they say, a legend in his own time. Happily, that's our time as well. Now, I'm very proud to turn the proceedings over to our host for the evening. He hosted last year's award dinner most delightfully, and we invited him back because he promised us lightning can strike twice, even if he has to arrange it himself. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good friend of the American Film Institute and one of the great entertainers of our time, Mr. Frank Sinatra.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and film lovers everywhere. And welcome to our tribute to Citizen Welles. I must tell you I'm a bit partial about this marvelous occasion because I'm proud to say that Orson and I have been friends for many, many years. And I've long admired his distinguished work and his many talents. And I'm happy to look around tonight and see that in this beautiful room and see that so many of you share my feeling about him. As our chairman, Chuck Heston, pointed out, one of the many worthwhile goals of the American Film Institute is to honor directors, actors, writers, and producers. And this year, with the bread being a little bit tight, we decided to go for the large economy size package and honor all four of them for the price of one. I might say that, and I will as a matter of fact, I met Orson around 1944 in New York, and we teamed up and we're on the road together to help re-elect Mr. Roosevelt in his final campaign. And it wasn't very popular in those days to do that kind of thing. But we'd go out on the road and I'd stand up and sing the national anthem and get the crowd in a patriotic frenzy. And Orson would come out and scare everybody. I mean it. He strongly suggested anybody who didn't vote for Roosevelt would go home and find a Martian in their bed. And I also have to remind you that I think that his entrance into the room tonight was very impressive with all those spotlights. Nelson Riddle and the orchestra playing up a storm. Big voice announcing, here comes a director, an actor, a producer, a writer, and then walked Orson. About a year and a half ago, he came to my house for dinner one night, and we had to do the same thing to get him from the den into the dining room. And luckily, Nelson and the guys in the band happened to be in the neighborhood so that they played the same time. And now, before we enjoy some marvelous scenes from some of Orson's films, I must let you in on a very embarrassing moment. Several months ago, I was in Palm Springs, and the phone rang, and it was young George Stevens at the AFI, and George said, Francis, the Board of Trustees has just met, and we have unanimously selected the man we all feel is most deserving for our next Lifetime Achievement Award. Before he could go any further, I said, I don't deserve it, George. I mean, if you've seen some of my work, it's you got the wrong guy. He said, I said, there must be somebody else who should receive this marvelous award. He said, of course there is. It's Orson Welles. And I said, thanks a lot. And he said, we'd like you to host the program. So here I am, and here you all are, and here is the man we are honoring this evening. And I would have some more to say about Orson later in a little song that we've put together with the help of Mr. Sammy Kahn. But right now, let's get this gifted man as he appeared in some of his memorable motion pictures.
What kind of a spy do you think you are, Satchelfoot? What are you tailing me for? Cat got your tongue? Come on out. Come out, whoever you are. Step out in the light and let's have a look at you. Who's your boss?
Just een tijd, jongen, wat is er dan los? Dan wordt wel de niemand zijn. Dan die zeggen, ja, zie mijn is gebeurd. En frisheid is dat niet in de nacht toe en een krawal te worden.
Harry.
En frisheid is dat toe en een krawal te worden.
different one of these days. Come on. What's my fortune? You've been reading the cards, haven't you?
I've been doing the accounts.
Come on, read my future for me.
You haven't got any.
What do you mean?
Your future is all used up. Can I help you, sir?
Help is needed on the promise you that. Jane, if all the people in that room came and spat on me, what would you do?
I'd turn them out of the room, if I could.
If I were to go to them, they only looked coldly at me, dropped off and left me, one by one. What then? Would you go with them?
I would stay with you, sir.
To comfort me.
Yes, sir. To comfort you as well as I could.
Well, Michael.
Well, Mr. Barrett,
My wife's lost her sense of humor, Michael, and you've lost your sense of adventure. Sit down and have a drink. Give him a drink, George. And don't look so chuffed. Michael may not be in the social register, but then neither are you anymore.
Is this what you folks do for amusement in the evenings? Sit around toasting marshmallows and call each other names? Sure, if you're so anxious for me to join the game, I'd be glad to. I can think of a few names I'd like to be calling you myself.
villain, be sure thou proves my love a whore. Be sure of it. Give me the ocular proof. Or by the worth of man's immortal soul, I'd been better to have been born a dog to answer my weight trough.
Oh, Grace.
Make me to see it, or at the least so prove it that the probation bear no hinge, nor loop to hang a doubt on. Oh, woe upon my life. Never pray more, abandon or revulse. For nothing canst thou to damnation add. Greater than that.
Oh, monstrous word. Take note, O world. To be direct and honest is not safe.
By the world, I think my wife be honest, and think she is not. I think that thou art just, and think thou art not. I'll have some proof. Her name, that was as fresh as Dian's visage, is now begrimed and black as mine own face.
I wish I'd asked you to bring me some of these tablets from home. Holly, I'd like to cut you in, old man. There's nobody left in Vienna I can really trust, and we've always done everything together. When you make up your mind, send me a message. I'll meet you any place, any time. And when we do meet, old man, it's you I want to see, not the police. Remember that, won't you?
Don't be so gloomy.
After all, it's not that awful. Well, what the fellow said.
Mentally, for 30 years under the Borgias, they had warfare, terror, murder, and bloodshed, but they produced Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and the Renaissance. In Switzerland, they had brotherly love. They had 500 years of democracy and peace, and what did that produce? The cuckoo clock. So long, Holly.
Now comes a moment I personally have been looking forward to. There are a few people in the theatrical world who from the very beginning seemed destined to be stars, and whose appearance on a stage or a screen continually reaffirms that destiny. Orson Welles is one, and the lady I am now about to introduce is surely another. Intermezzo, Spellbound, For Whom the Bells Toll, Anastasia, Casablanca mean great pictures. They also mean Miss Ingrid Bergman.
honored guest, Orson, and ladies and gentlemen. It must be quite a surprise to see me here because Orson and I hardly know each other. We've never worked together, and I haven't even been married to him. I think the real reason why I'm here must be that I work across the street. So it's easy to run over after the show. It is also easy to come when I was asked if I would appear for a tribute to Orson Welles. I think that it must have been a great burden for him to have made a masterpiece when he was 24 years old. And it must have been very hard to live up to under all those years. And also, I've been working in Europe when Orson Welles was working in Europe. And we had hardships, both of us. Maybe that's another sign why I'm here. I knew how he was working, and you saw pictures produced by Orson, directed by Orson, written by Orson, narration by Orson, acted by Orson, and closed by Orson. He had done everything. Still, he had his troubles, and the joke started in Europe saying that Orson Welles is running out of countries. Now he has come back to his own country, and in great style, and here we are, and I'm so happy that the American Film Institute has asked me to come, so I also can pay my tribute to you, and thank you that you have shown the world what real courage is, and tenacity, and of course, your dazzling talent. So therefore, I say bravo, Orson, and hit us again with your talent.
No need to be frightened, you know. Just a man speaking over the wireless.
He remembers the day, not as much as the end.
That scene with me in Orson's lap is, yes, is from Tomorrow is Forever, which was made when I was only 6 years old. Of course, I'm a little bigger now, but then again, so is Orson's lap. Orson, let me just say, it was as delightful for me to sit in your lap then as it's been for all of us to sit at your feet since. I'd like to thank you from both angles.
I turned the music on up for you. I thought you'd like.
Not just now. It's past 7 and I haven't been to bed yet.
Bed? You can get into it now. I brought the sheets. They think I'm going to help make it. They got another thing coming. I'm not going to be a party to...
That was a scene from Touch of Evil, in which Dennis and I appeared with Orson in 1957 for Universal Pictures.
In that picture, Janet was staying overnight in this motel, and I played the stupid hotel manager. I say stupid because when she asked me to wake her up at 8 a.m., I did it by telephone.
We were privileged to work with Orson, who not only starred in the film, but also wrote it.
And directed it.
And changed the sheets at the motel. Touch of Evil was a great experience for us, just to have known and worked with a touch of genius.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Orson's past is filled with people who later went on to great things. This next gentleman met Mr. Welles under rather bizarre circumstances, and considering what happened, it's a wonder that he went on to do anything at all in the rest of his life. Orson suggested I tell the story, but since the gentleman is here tonight as a guest at the dinner, we've asked him if he would tell it himself, and he graciously consented. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Johnny.
suppose one always hopes that they can get to the podium before the applause dies. You're all staring at me like I brought your tax rebates. I know most of you probably are wondering what the professional relationship between Mr. Welles and myself is. I assure you that it is deep, lasting, and most artistic. Frank mentioned that he first met Orson Welles in the year 1944. I met Orson Welles in the year 1943. Now, I realize that most of the entertainers who come up here tonight are going to pay great homage to Mr. Welles and extend gratitude to him as how he has affected their lives. I'm here actually to collect the $50 that I think Orson Welles owe me. Now, let me explain and tell you a true story that happened. 32 years ago, when I was 17 years old, I hitchhiked from Nebraska to California. I had entered the Naval Air Corps, and yet I was not to go into the service until October of that year. So I came out to Hollywood, and I realized very quickly that the servicemen were treated quite well. So, possessing all the knowledge of a 17-year-old boy, I went to a military supply clothing store on Hollywood Boulevard, where I bought myself some khaki pants, a khaki shirt, a khaki tie, and an overseas hat, and headed to the USO. Absolutely true. I went to the Hollywood Canteen, went to the Palladium, and then I saw that Mr. Orson Welles was performing his magic show for servicemen on Coinga Boulevard in a tent. And being an amateur magician, that seemed the place to go. So I was there for 3 nights in a row, and finally on the 3rd night, Mr. Welles asked for volunteers to assist him in sawing someone in half. I volunteered, went up on the stage, and was sawed in half by Mr. Orson Welles. Now, the sad part about this story is that immediately afterwards, I was arrested by the Shore Patrol because I had no papers. I was held in detention for 2 hours. I had to post a $50 bond for impersonating a serviceman. So I really came here tonight to collect that $50. But in lieu of that, and publicly telling this story for the first time, I thought this would be a nice place to forgive the debt in lieu of spending a few moments on a stage with Mr. Orson Welles. It's a delight to be here.
I want you to hear this. I've heard it already. Our friend Vargas has some very special ideas about police procedure. He seems to think it don't matter whether a killer's hanged or not, so long as we obey the fine print.
Captain, I don't think a policeman should work like a dog catcher. Putting criminals behind bars? No. In any free country, a policeman is supposed to enforce the law, and the law protects the guilty as well as the innocent.
Our job is tough enough.
It's supposed to be. It has to be tough. A policeman's job is only easy in a police state. That's the whole point, Captain. Who is the boss? The cop or the law?
That was another scene from Touch of Evil in which Orson and I appeared together. He also directed the film and completely rewrote the script in 17 days, I might add. Touch of Evil was originally planned as a B picture. I think Orson turned it into a minor film classic. Orson has many talents, but his capacities as a director are what interest me the most, of course, for good reason. In film, an actor depends on the director. I've had the good luck to depend on some of the best. William Wyler, George Stevens, Frank Schaffner, Sam Peckinpah, Laurence Olivier, C.B. DeMille, and Orson Welles. I can't begin to tell you all I've learned from those men. I can't even remember all I've learned, let alone repay them for what they've given me. But since tonight we're honoring Orson, I'd like to focus on his work as a director. Rather than talk about how Welles works, I'd like to show you with scenes from 3 of his films. The first is a scene from Lady From Shanghai, which Orson made in 1946 for Columbia, with a script he wrote based on Sherwood King's novel, If I Die Before I Wake. The story calls for an outraged husband to shoot his wife. That's a cliche. It's been dealt with, I suppose, in 100 films. But never with more shattering originality than Orson used in Lady From Shanghai. The actors are Orson, Rita Hayworth as the wife, and Everett Sloane as the crippled husband.
I love you.
One who follows his nature keeps his original nature in the end. But haven't you heard ever of something better to follow?
No.
I knew I'd find you two together. If I hadn't, Elsa, I might have gone on playing it your way. You didn't know that, but you did plan for me to follow you.
You've been drinking.
I presume you think that if you murder me here, your sailor friend will get the blame, and you'll be free to spend my money. Well, dear, you aren't the only one who wants me to die. Our good friend, the district attorney, is just itching to open the letter that I left with him. The letter tells all about you, lover. So you'd be foolish to fire that gun. With these mirrors, it's difficult to tell. You are aiming at me, aren't you? I'm aiming at you, lover. Of course, killing you is killing myself. The same thing. But you know, I'm pretty tired of both of us.
Classic junket film, wasn't it? The next scene is from Citizen Kane, Orson's first film, directed in 1940 from a script by Herman J. Mankiewicz and Orson, with much credit due to the cameraman, Greg Toland, and Robert Wise and Mark Robeson, who edited the film. It's interesting to note that in 1962, Sight and Sound magazine took a worldwide poll. Citizen Kane was voted the greatest film ever made. In 1972, they took another poll. This time, Magnificent Ambersons, another Welles film, of which more later, came in third. Again, Citizen Kane finished first. It's hard to choose a scene to show from this remarkable film. The one we picked shows Orson as Kane and Ruth Warwick as his wife, Emily. They're having breakfast. In fact, they're having a series of breakfasts as their marriage dissolves, a process that in real life might take 15 years. In most pictures, it would certainly take at least 15 minutes. In Citizen Kane, it takes less than 3 minutes.
You're beautiful.
Oh, I can't.
Yes, you are. You're very, very beautiful.
I've never been to six parties in my life.
Extremely
My
beautiful.
whole life. I've never even been up this late.
What's the matter with habit?
I wonder what this Devon's something.
I think we enjoyed ourselves.
Yes.
Didn't we?
I don't see why you have to go straight out to the newspaper.
You never should have married a newspaper man. They're worse than sailors. I absolutely adore you.
Oh, Charles, even newspaper men have to sleep.
I'll call Mr. Bernstein, have him put up my appointments until noon. What time is it?
I don't know, it's late.
It's early.
Charles, do you know how long you kept me waiting last night while you went to the newspaper for 10 minutes? What do you do in a newspaper in the middle of the night?
Emily, my dear, your only correspondent is the Inquirer.
Sometimes I think I'd prefer a rival of flesh and blood.
Oh, Emily, I don't spend that much time on the newspaper.
It isn't just the time. It's what you print. Attacking the president.
You mean Uncle John?
I mean the president of the United States.
He's still Uncle John. He's still a well-meaning fathead who's letting a pack of high-pressure crooks run his administration. This whole oil scandal.
He happens to be the president, Charles. Not you.
That's a mistake that will be corrected one of these days.
Your Mr. Bernstein sent Junior the most incredible atrocity yesterday, Charles. I simply can't have it in the nursery.
Mr. Bernstein is apt to pay a visit to the nursery now and then.
Does he have to?
Yes.
Really, Charles? People will think...
What I tell them to think.
Pretty good movie for a 25-year-old. This last example of Orson Welles' work as a director is A Battle from Falstaff Chimes at Midnight, which was filmed in Spain in 1964, adapted by Orson Welles from several of William Shakespeare's plays. The compressed progress of the day of battle, from the heart-lifting evocation of chivalric combat with banners flying and swords flashing, to the fearful agony of desperate men writhing in a sea of bloody mud, says it all about as concisely as a camera can say it.
Many of you younger people here in the room and in our television audience may or may not know that the voice you heard was Orson Welles. He was the original Shadow on radio. Ladies and gentlemen, Ingrid Bergman and Charlie McCarthy.
You should say good evening to the audience. Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Charlie and I are delighted to be part of this tribute to Orson Welles.
Yes, Orson who?
Orson Welles. Yes, that's why we're here.
Oh,
Was that so? Yes, yes, because we shared a fascinating moment in his life. Yeah, no names, Thurgood, no names. Yes. She may be a grandmother by now. Yes, I know. Well, oh, it's a pushover, Audie. Yeah. Yes, well, I'll ignore that. You know, this was in 1938. And then, well, that was, Hitler was making his moves in Europe, you know, and Lou Gehrig, he said farewell to baseball, and Joe Louis, he knocked out two-ton Tony Galento. Yeah. And then in Englewood, New Jersey, Frank Sinatra was singing for $25 a week, and worth every penny of it. As they do. Now, where was I? You were standing right there. Yeah, I know. Laying an egg. All right. Which is pretty good for an old bird like you. All right. You see, the joke is, never mind. All right. In those days, everybody switched dials during a commercial, you know. And on October 30th, 1938, millions turned to our competition, CBS, Orson Welles and his Mercury Theater. Yeah, boo, Orson, boo. All right. And, you know, they never turned us back in again. Yeah, boo some more. All right. We were that bad. No. You see, the joke is, never mind, all right. The point is this, Charlie. Yeah, I wish you'd get to the point here. That Orson's radio version of the War of the Worlds. Well, get it right, yes, all right. You should be sitting up here. No. It was so realistically presented and so brilliantly executed that the whole country was frightened. Yeah. Looking back at it now, I just don't understand how anyone could be so dumb as to believe all that. Well, you know, if they were dumb enough not to be listening to our show, they'd be dumb enough to believe anything. I see you're still a little mad at Mr. Welles. No, I was only kidding. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. Yes, after all, he's really a great man. He's done great things, and I'm very glad to be here. Well, that's very nice of you to say that. Yes. I think that was very diplomatic. Well, I may be a dummy, but I'm not stupid. All right. Goodbye.
Thank you, Mr. Bergen. And you too, old Wood Eyes. You dummy. In an evening such as this with so many co-workers and friends and just plain fans of Orson Welles in attendance, it would be literally impossible to acknowledge all of them. We would, however, like you to meet Orson's immediate family, his lovely wife, Paula, his beautiful daughter, Beatrice, who's sitting right up there with the band. We also have a gentleman here tonight who certainly belongs in the forefront of the star-studded cast that overflows the career of Orson Welles. There could truly be no tribute to Orson Welles without Joseph Cotten being here. Here he is in a memorable scene from the picture, The Magnificent Ambersons. And by the way, it's interesting to remember that the words in this scene were spoken some 35 years ago.
I'm not sure George is wrong about automobiles. With all their speed forward, they may be a step backward in civilization. Maybe that they won't add to the beauty of the world or the life of men's souls. I'm not sure. But automobiles have come. And almost all outward things are going to be different because of what they bring. They're going to alter war, and they're going to alter peace.
think men's minds are going to be changed in subtle ways because of automobiles. And it may be that George is right. It may be that in 10 or 20 years from now, if we can see the inward change in men by that time, I shouldn't be able to defend the gasoline engine, but would have to agree with George that automobiles had no business to be invented.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joseph Cotton.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really honored to be a part of this evening's tribute to a man I've known and loved for so many years. Aside from the astounding impact that Orson has had on the theater and motion pictures and I suppose almost all forms of show business, he is completely and absolutely responsible for aiding, abetting, and encouraging some of us to become actors. He has a lot to answer for. For example, he made us go on radio. He pushed us onto the stage of the Mercury Theater. And as if that were not enough, he literally shanghaied us to Hollywood to act in Citizen Kane. If it hadn't been for his interference, I could be very happily working in my uncle's bank on Sycamore Street in Petersburg. And I've never spoken before of this intrusion into my private life. But now that I have the opportunity, let me say this to you, Orson. Thank you very much. This evening, I'm proud to present the Orson Welles Fellowship Awards to 3 young aspiring writers and directors who will study next year in Orson's name at the American Film Institute, and we hope they may equal or surpass the achievements of those who've come before them. The Orson Welles Fellowship Award winners are Kenneth Belsky, Robert Schoenhut, and Kim Friedman, and good luck to you all. I'd just like to add that during the struggling days, well, that is the early struggling days, there was no such thing as the American Film Institute, but thank goodness there was an Orson Welles.
You know, so far tonight we've talked a great deal about Orson's many achievements in the past. Now, how about a look at the future of our gifted friend? With that in mind, here's a scene from one film that Orson is just finishing called The Other Side of the Wind. I must say it's a fascinating scene. It's about a celebration in honor of a famous movie director who is not Orson and is played by John Huston. And all of the movie freaks and filmmakers in the world are in at this bash that I'm talking about, including a brilliant young director who, by another coincidence, is not Peter Bogdanovich, but is played by Peter Bogdanovich.
I'm Marvin P. Fassbender.
Of course you are.
Alfred's night. Let's save the questions for him, huh? You two are very close, aren't you?
Yes, I'd like to ask you about that.
Why?
Come on, Natalie. Well, why do you think you have to be as rude as he is?
Rude as you are, in print anyway.
I liked your last picture.
Yeah, well, she wasn't that kind to me in her review. Not that you did me too much harm. I mean, how much harm can you do to the third biggest grocer in movie history? They make that much? How marvelous.
Yes. Did you know that when his own production company goes public, that your friend there stands to walk away with $40 million?
Yeah, and she's going to say that I'm just going to keep on writing that I stole everything from you, Skipper. I'm never going to walk away from that.
Well, it's all right to borrow from each other. What we must never do is borrow from ourselves. Come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Peter Bogdanovich.
We were shooting a scene for this picture in Arizona, and we were on a roof. I don't really remember why we were on the roof, but we were on this roof, and it was about 5 or 6 stories high, and the sun was setting, the sun was going down, and Orson was all the way across the roof with the camera, and I was at the far end, and he yelled out to me, "Peter, quick, run across the roof. Hurry up, we're losing the light." And you know, I'm being an actor now, so I was concerned about motivation. I said, "Okay, Orson, why am I running across the roof?" And he said, "I'll tell you when you get here." I don't remember that exactly what he told me why I was running across the roof, but the shot was beautiful. And so are you, dear Orson.
Orson, my dear, you've been called by many names here tonight. And now I'd like to add my own name to the list. To me, you are a champ. And I'd like to say it the best way I know how, with a little accompaniment, if you know mine. Nelson? There's no one like him, but no one at all. There have been legends, but none quite as tall. What if his girth is like wall to wall? You know this gentleman is a champ. Came out of nowhere, well, so to speak, and showed it once, that special technique. He's what you mean when you speak of unique. That's why the gentleman is a champ. He has a voice that's close to divine, almost like mine. Mine swings, he sings. Compared to him, I sound like a tramp. Because the gentleman is a champ. In 38, with a radio play, War of the World filled us with much dismay. I mean, he scared the shadows away. Still, the gentleman is a champ. The Mercury players, they were more than just good. He helped young actors every way that he could. He picked cotton when nobody would, which proves the citizen is a champ. Need
Need I explain that Kane didn't thrill a fella called Bill? Said Hearst, it's the worst. He called our hero an impudent scamp. Still, this cat is a champ. The Third Man film, I am sure you will recall. His Harry Lime was played to enthrall. No kissing bandit, you can't win them all. That's why the gentleman is a champ. A Shakespeare buff who does know his bard just name a scene and he leans in there hard. Make you forget, say, Cyril Richard. That's why the gentleman is a champ. Produce, direct, write, star in a play like Olivier, a whiz he is. I, for one, must whistle and stamp because the gentleman is a champ. I didn't mean to wake you. I trust you guessed. It's all been in jest. We're toasting the best. A glass to class. Please stand and join me. I'll have the band vamp. You know the gentleman. I mean that gentleman. I say he's a champ.
Before we bring our guest of honor center stage, let's share a marvelous moment from one of the finest films ever made. The opening scene of Magnificent Ambersons, directed and narrated by Orson.
The magnificence of the Ambersons began in 1873. Their splendor lasted throughout all the years that saw their Midland town spread and darken into a city. In that town, in those days, all the women who wore silk or velvet knew all the other women who wore silk or velvet, and everybody knew everybody else's family horse and carriage. The only public conveyance was the streetcar. A lady could whistle to it from an upstairs window, and the car would halt at once and wait for her, while she shut the window, put on her hat and coat, went downstairs, found an umbrella, told the girl what to have for dinner, and came forth from the house. Too slow for us nowadays, because the faster we're carried, the less time we have to spare. During the earlier years of this period, while bangs and bustles were having their way with women, there were seen men of all ages to whom a hat meant only that rigid, tall, silk thing known to impudence as a stovepipe. But the long contagion of the derby had arrived. One season the crown of this hat would be a bucket, next it would be a spoon. Every house still kept its boot jack, but high-top boots gave way to shoes and Congress gaiters, and these were played through fashions that shaped them now with toes like box ends and now with toes like the prows of racing shells. Trousers with a crease were considered plebeian. The crease proved that the garment had lain upon its shelf. Hence was ready-made. With evening dress, a gentleman wore a tan overcoat, so short that his black coattails hung visible 5 inches below the overcoat. But after a season or two, he lengthened his overcoat till it touched his heels. And he passed out of his tight trousers into trousers like great bags. In those days, they had time for everything. Time for for sleigh rides and balls and assemblies and cotillions and open house on New Year's and all-day picnics in the woods, and even that prettiest of all vanished customs, the serenade. Of a summer night, young men would bring an orchestra under a pretty girl's window, and flute, harp, fiddle, cello, cornet, and bass viol would presently release their melodies to the dulcet stars. Against so homespun a background, the magnificence of the Ambersons was as conspicuous as a brass band at a funeral.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present the man who is the driving force behind the success of the American Film Institute, our director, Mr. George Stevens, Jr.
It was 35 years ago. A 24-year-old man came to this town, walked into the RKO studio, inspected it, and said, "This is the greatest electric train set any boy ever had." We are here tonight to celebrate what that man has done with that toy. We are here to celebrate the enduring value of what he has created, and that even though his place in history is secure, he remains in the fray of filmmaking. Each year, the trustees of the American Film Institute select one artist who has, in a fundamental way, advanced the film art and whose work has stood the test of time. Orson Welles has advanced the film art like few others. He has had a positive and profound influence on international cinema. Too often we measure a film only by its bank account. That is why, in making this award, the trustees emphasize the test of time. Tonight, you have seen inspired films which have met that test. And remembering the stormy seas that Orson Welles has weathered in his long career, hear what the writer John Ruskin said 100 years ago in noting that many of the most enduring works in art and literature are never paid for. How much, he asked, do you think Homer got for his Iliad? Or Dante for his Paradise? Only bitter bread and salt and walking up and down other people's stairs. So tonight, we measure Orson Welles by his courage and by the intensity of his vision. He has combined a mighty will and a child's heart to produce a film legacy. He reminds us that it is better to live one day as a lion than 100 years as a sheep. He has had many days as a lion, as a man of radio, the theater, as a magician, a painter, a writer, a designer, but he will be remembered as a creator of films. In presenting this award for life achievement, let us call him forth with the purest definition of a great man. A great man never reminds us of others. Mr. Orson Welles.
mother once told me that the art of receiving a compliment is, of all things, the sign of a civilized man. And he died soon afterwards, leaving my education in this important matter sadly incomplete. I'm only glad that on this, the occasion of the rarest compliment he ever could have dreamed of, that he isn't here to see his son so publicly at a loss. In receiving a compliment, or trying to, the words are all worn out by now. They're polluted by ham and corn. And when you try to scratch around for some new ones, it's just an exercise in empty cleverness. What I feel this evening is not very clever. It's the very opposite of emptiness. The corny old phrase is the only one I know to say it. My heart is full. With a full heart, with all of it, I thank you. This is Samuel Johnson on the subject of what he calls contrarieties. There are goods so opposed that we cannot seize both, and in trying, fail to seize either. Flatter not yourself, he says, with contrarieties. Of the blessings set before you, make your choice. No man can at the same time fill his cup from the source and from the mouth of the Nile. Well, this business of contrarieties has to do with us, with you who are paying me this compliment, and with me who have strayed so far from this hometown of ours. Not that I'm alone in this or unique. I am never that. But there are a few of us left in this conglomerated world of ours who still trudge stubbornly along a lonely, rocky road, and this is, in fact, our contrariety. We don't move nearly as fast as our cousins on the freeway. We don't even get as much accomplished, just as the family-sized farm can't possibly raise as many crops or get as much profit as the agricultural factory of today. What we do come up with has no special right to call itself better. It's just different. No, if there's any excuse for us at all, it's that we're simply following the old American tradition of the maverick. And we are a vanishing breed. This honor I can only accept in the name of all the mavericks. And also as a tribute to the generosity of all the rest of you, to the givers, to the ones with fixed addresses. A maverick may go his own way, but he doesn't think that it's the only way or ever claim that it's the best one, except maybe for himself. And don't imagine that this raggle-taggle gypsyo is claiming to be free. It's just that some of the necessities to which I am a slave are different from yours. As a director, for instance, I pay myself out of my acting jobs. I use my own work to subsidize my work. In other words, I'm crazy. But not crazy enough to pretend to be free. But it's a fact that many of the films you've seen tonight could never have been made otherwise. Or if otherwise, well, they might have been better, but certainly they wouldn't have been mine. The truth is, I don't believe that this great evening would ever have brightened my life if it weren't for this, my own particular contrariety. Let us raise our cups, then, standing as some of us do on opposite ends of the river, and drink together to what really matters to us all, to our crazy and beloved profession, to the movies, to good movies, to every possible kind. I leave you now, in default of the eloquence this high occasion deserves, with another very short scene from the same film, a piece of which you saw earlier with John Huston and Peter Bogdanovich, just by way of saying good night from one who will remember tonight, not as a sort of gala visit, but as a very happy homecoming, and who remains not only your obedient servant, but also in this age of supermarkets, your friendly neighborhood grocery store.
Another scene.
The scene that you're going to see takes place in a projection room. And waiting there is the capital B big studio boss, who is played by Jeffrey Land. And Norman Foster is one of Jake Hannaford's stooges. Jake is the character John Huston plays, and he is called Jake because ever since Frank Sinatra and I became friends, which is longer ago than he cared to remember tonight, he has always called me Jake. Jake is, I'm the only one who is, he is the only one who calls me Jake, and it's a private joke, and for that reason, this director who isn't me is called Jake. Anyway, he has a stooge, and the stooge is trying to sell the unfinished movie that Jake is making, and for which he needs end money. Billy is supposed to explain the plot as far as he can remember it, and incidentally to sell the movie to Mr. Big, who is a handsome young studio head, a former actor, who, by the way, bears no resemblance to anyone unless you insist. Good night.
Hi, Max. Remember me? Billy Boyle.
I've seen you in some Hannaford films, haven't I?
Oh, some early ones on very late TV. You let me play a few friends of the heroes for a while. We're both
Where is he?
actors, aren't we? Jake? Well, I don't think we ought to wait for him. No editing, really. It's just the slates cut off. Gumdrop?
Dale something.
John Dale, Max. You sure you wouldn't like a gumdrop? According to Jake, the box likes him. The old magic box. The camera doesn't like an actor, it just stares at him. Well, that's what Jake says.
And if the actor doesn't like the old magic director?
Yeah. I'm not really sure, Max. Maybe it's here she leaves the bomb.
What's the bomb for?
I don't know. Maybe he's changing his mind and there won't be any.
So what are the toys about?
Well, before this, she'll be pretending to look in the window at him. Well, that is when we get around to shooting it. Anyway, the boy thinks she's been looking at these dolls.
Which doll?
The one he thinks she was looking at. So, well, he goes in and buys it for her.
What's in the package?
The package? You mean what she's got in her bag?
Was either a bomb or her lunch?
The kid's package. That's the doll.
And the bomb?
The bomb is...
When does it blow up?
Well, we don't actually know.
What do we know?
You better ask Jake.
I'd better read the script. No, there isn't one. Jake is just making it up as he goes along.
He's done it before.